Hey everybody, it's Jenna. As a DC fan, the past week of news has been absolutely wild. I was pretty sure I wasn't going to make a video today because things had finally seemed to slow down a little bit, and then James Gunn shared the first look at Lanterns. The 8-episode HBO series is currently filming and stars Kyle Chandler as Hal Jordan and Pierre as John Stewart. According to Vanity Fair, it will see the two of them investigate a murder in Nebraska, which leads them to still darker mysteries as well as reckonings. In theory, there's only so much to talk about with this first look, especially since it's just literally two dudes walking down a road, but there's still a bit to unpack here, both for the DCU and just the larger tapestry of the Green Lantern lore. To drastically oversimplify both of their comic histories, Hal was created by John Broome and Gil Kane in 1959's Showcase number 22 as the Silver Age Green Lantern in an attempt to revamp the lore initially established by Golden Age Green Lantern Alan Scott. He is a hotshot test pilot with a kind of messy heart of gold who gradually becomes more and more radicalized against the bureaucracy of the Lantern Corps, to the point of eventually becoming one of its greatest antagonists, Parallax. John Stewart was created by Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams in 1972's Green Lantern number 87 as an architect and Marine veteran who becomes Hal's backup Green Lantern after Guy Gardner gets hit by a bus. John's life experiences, as well as the social climate of being a black man in the 1970s, immediately made him a fascinating foil to Hal and to the flaws in the system of the Corps. Both John and Hal have served lengthy tenures on the Justice League, with an entire generation probably knowing John best for his time in the Justice League cartoons. Again, these are wild oversimplifications of both of their histories, and I can definitely expand upon them more in a future video. Now, let's get to the photo. Obviously, I keep zooming in on Hal's lantern ring. Even though this isn't the best angle of it, I like that it looks a little more practical than just being entirely green. It's also making it clear in hindsight just how over-designed the ring in the 2011 movie was. It's interesting that John is deliberately posed so we can't see his ring, if he even does have it in this scene. I know there's been some discourse about Hal being older in this story, and for a minute I also had some complicated feelings about it, but I don't mind it as a way to flesh out the tapestry of the universe and not have every single character necessarily starting at square one. It also makes sense given the fact that we already have a Guy Gardner in this universe, and I'll be very curious if we get the same inciting incident that leads to John ultimately becoming a Lantern. I also do think that Kyle Chandler nails the energy and the charisma of Hal in a really unexpected way, and I could so easily see him crushing the heel turn if we eventually get to Parallax on screen. Again, I know this photo is just the two of them on a road, and some people might have expected a full-blown suit reveal or some sort of cosmic shot for the first look, but honestly, I love it, especially because it harkens back to my favorite Green Lantern era and easily one of my top storylines in all of comics, Hard Traveling Heroes. Created by O'Neil and Adams as an attempt to revamp the Green Lantern title and add more social relevance to the book, Hard Traveling Heroes sees Hal and his Justice League teammate Oliver Queen / Green Arrow traveling across the country fighting injustices. Oliver's bleeding heart liberal feelings become a major catalyst for opening Hal's eyes about the Corps and just about the world in general. Eventually, Dinah Lance / Black Canary joins them in their crusade as well, with each issue tackling a different social injustice in a way that was largely unheard of for mainstream comics at the time. John's first appearance, which was in and of itself groundbreaking for the time, arrived near the tail end of that initial run. Ever since Lanterns was first announced, I have remained adamant and hopeful that Hard Traveling Heroes would be inspiring it in some capacity. The Vanity Fair article does confirm that the show isn't adapting a specific storyline, which we could kind of gather based on the information we already knew, but it is, quote, steeped in the spirit and arcana of the comic canon. I'm glad to see that approach, and I will savor any of the Hard Traveling Heroes vibes that we do get, while also holding out hope for some sort of reference to Dinah and Oliver. The plot being a grounded and largely earthbound murder mystery definitely fits the energy of Hard Traveling Heroes, and the focus on Hal and John's ideals and personalities does too, in a way that might be just as relevant, if not more, than it was in the 1970s. As showrunner Chris Mundy told Vanity Fair, quote, "Our Lanterns have the rings and all the power they bring, and other characters and aspects of the lore are going to show up or be name-checked, but it's a series that explores who these guys are when they're on the job and when they're out of uniform. It's designed to be accessible for people who don't know the mythology, but hopefully really satisfying for people that know it backwards and forwards." This, to me, feels like the perfect way to approach a Green Lantern adaptation, as opposed to just getting lost in indiscriminate space battles. I think a lot of the DCU projects that we've gotten or are getting thus far are about juxtaposition. Creature Commandos is about people who have heart and depth but are cast aside by society as monsters. Superman is about a man who believes in kindness in a world where kindness is seen as old-fashioned. Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow is going to be about the perfect, pristine symbol of girlhood, swearing and swinging swords and being genuinely angry with the world around her. And it sounds like Lanterns is going to be about these cosmic lone wolves in a very earthbound, very socially relevant sort of story. It might not be the Green Lantern adaptation that you're expecting, but it might be the one that we all need. I still can't believe, after the 2011 movie turned Green Lantern into a bit of a cultural punchline, and after being in the trenches of all of these stops and starts of the other projects, that we're finally here. I know it's still a little ways away, but I'm sure that James isn't over-exaggerating when he says that this show is going to be something special. What do you think of the first look at Lanterns? Are you excited for the show? Is there any aspect of Green Lantern lore you'd like to see me expand on in a future video? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends if you haven't already done so. Merch is available at the link in the description. As always, you can find me on social media at Hey It's Jenna Lynn. Thank you all so much for for watching, and as always, go read some comics, but especially Hard Traveling Heroes.